What's up everybody, Serenity here, and today I'm bringing you my BlackBeard guide. So let's get into it. As per usual, I'm going to start with the loadout. So you have two primary weapons, the MK17 and the SR25. The MK17 is a hard-hitting, slow-firing AR. It has quite a bit of recoil, and it's very comparable to Thermite's 5.56. The only problem is that you'll run out of ammo quite a lot because it only holds 20 bullets in the mag. And then you have the SR25, which also holds 20 bullets in the mag, but it's semi-auto and it has a lot of damage. I personally run with the MK17. You only have one secondary weapon option, and it's the Desert Eagle. Now at first I really didn't like this pistol, but I recently realized that at medium to short range this is the best pistol in the game. And trust me when I say that you will be using it a lot if you use the MK17. In the gadget category, you have the breach charge and the stun grenades, and it doesn't really matter what you pick because that choice should be made in between rounds. And to finish off the loadout, you have medium armor and medium speed, making BlackBeard a very flexible operator. BlackBeard's special ability is his rifle shield. It completely blocks the bullets that would hit his head or his shoulders. The downsides of his shield is that, well, firstly, it's destructible. But as of right now, it takes upwards of 20 bullets, which is just insane. I mean, it almost never happens. The second downside is that it makes you a lot slower. And the third one is that it makes the recoil very random, making the gun more inaccurate. Now, a lot of people have told me that it's actually better accuracy, but I really disagree. Here's why. Some recoils in the game are highly random, for example Buck, Jaeger, and Thermite. Some recoils in the game are highly predictable, for example IQ's AUG, Twitch's FAMAS, and the L85. Now, in general, the Scar H has a pretty predictable recoil. When you put the shield on, however, it makes it less vertical but a lot more random horizontally. The problem with that is that every single time you pull the trigger, the recoil is unique, so it makes it impossible to learn and compensate for. The reason why I think some people like the recoil with the shield on better is that they're just never compensating for recoil, so they don't really care about random recoil. For the people that like to compensate for it by dragging the mouse down, then we hate it when it's random because obviously it's impossible to learn. Alright, enough talking about the recoil. I just wanted to clear up the confusion. Alright, so let's get back to the shield. The shield completely blocks the bullets that would hit your head or your shoulders coming from in front of you. So if you can find a way to hide the rest of your body, you're pretty much invincible. Examples of that would be when you're really far away and you're prone, when you have the right angle in the staircase, when you're repelling a window, when you're crouched behind the window, when you're crouched behind the desk, and so on. And so all of those positions make you invincible. Another good position to be in is behind a crouched shield. With that setup, there's a small gap where people can shoot you in the bottom of the chest, but it's such a small target, you should kill them first. Now after hearing that, you might think of Nitrocell, but Nitrocell is not the answer. You see, BlackBeard is not like the other shields. He doesn't have a pistol hip firing, he's actually looking down the scope of an AR. Taking the time to peek with a Nitrocell in the end usually means death. Unless BlackBeard is reloading or he's a total noob or something. If you're playing BlackBeard and someone's throwing a Nitrocell at you, just go for the kill, don't try to run away. If anything, go straight at him. Alright, so how do you take advantage of that shield? Well, first off, your positioning has to be on point. You know, running around the map and peeking normally with BlackBeard is really strong, but it's not optimal. Try to keep your distance from the enemies. That should make it a lot harder for them to flank you. So obviously don't push into doorways that are being camped. Crossfire as BlackBeard is your worst enemy, so that's why you want to drone a lot to identify those situations. If you're playing with a group of friends, I recommend having someone droning for you, because in the early game you want to be as active as possible. You basically want to peek as many windows as possible, just trying to get early picks because no one else can do it as safely as you can. After that, you want to think of BlackBeard as someone that can lock down any area of the map as long as there's a spot for him to set up in. You want to then use that ability to lock down areas in a way that's going to help your team to get to the objective room and plant the diffuser. Now there's multiple ways to help them doing that. First, you can cut off the enemy reinforcement by locking down a key staircase or hallway, or you could always go with your team and set up in the room itself. The only problem with setting up inside the room is that it's a lot easier for the enemy team to set up crossfire on you, so you have to make sure you have good communication. After that, it's the easy part. Plant the diffuser and defend it only showing your rifle shield. Make sure you play passive while doing that, because if you get too excited for a second and you try to go for the kills instead of killing time, then you might run out of bullets, and that could be really bad with BlackBeard. Always remember that your Scar H only holds 20 bullets. Having to reload in a bad spot is honestly the only way you can mess up in such a situation. So yeah, that's the idea behind playing BlackBeard. It's very map dependent, and so you'll have to find which spot works and which doesn't by yourself, but those are the general guidelines you want to apply on every map. Now let's talk about the guns. I don't really like this Car H all that much because I'm constantly finding myself reloading. You know, 20 bullets for a full auto gun is not a lot. And so that's why you can make an argument for the SR25. Of course it has the same capacity, but because it's semi-auto and it does a lot more damage, it's really hard to run out of bullets. And the one big downside of semi-auto guns is that they're just not good for close range, but with BlackBeard you shouldn't do a lot of close range anyway. So yeah, I truly think that the SR25 is a viable option if you're really trigger happy. I personally run the Car H even though I don't really like it. Alright, well I covered everything I wanted to talk about. In conclusion, at the beginning of the round you should go for early picks as you can do that better than anyone else. After that, try to hurry up and help your team get to the objective room by being as active as possible. Remember, you want to play the objective as much as possible when using this operator. While you're doing that, remember that Crossfire and Roamers are your worst enemies as BlackBeard, so make sure you have teammates covering your flanks and or droning for you. And after you get that diffuser down, it's all over. Just play very passive and focus on not emptying that mag. Alright, well that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. By the way, I'm starting to be really active on Twitter, so if you haven't already, go follow me on there. It's at 17Serenity17. Alright guys, thank you for your support and I'll see you soon. Apart from that, I think that the cameras will have a very healthy effect on the community. It will promote coordination, communication, the actual preparation to the fight. It will offer so much more intel, and now the defenders will be able to make a lot more decisions, which by the way is a very good thing now that BlackBeard is in the game. The car windows are now destructible, which is a huge deal. I mean, on some maps it's going to help the defenders a whole lot. For example, here on Consulate, if you would plant the diffuser there, it would be over. Someone would just camp behind that car and there would be no way of taking back the site because that attacker would just look at you through the window and pre-fire you. You would have to run across the open field and get to him, which would be suicide.